Still not opposed to 7-11 on Thursday also, so it's what we are right now, post-camp, 12, 7, and 3.
Pick the 13th, are you gonna, you
Not right
know
now.
what you do with that 13th?
Don't need it right now. Obviously, knowing that 13th could be an easy call-up anywhere, and with the 7 NHL caliber D, if we get that odd morning sickness, afternoon, something happens in warm-ups, we have no problem going 7-11.
Are you leaning a little more towards Piranha with Alex and Dylan, or?
Possibly. For whatever reason, and not for whatever reason, but Dylan and David together have been really, really good. Analytically, I test everything, and there's just a little chemistry there. So I think he could complement those two. We'll give it a look, at least today, and probably even tomorrow, going into Thursday.
What was your message to Berber?
Just keep doing things to make you an everyday type NHL guy. I think for him, unfortunately, right, wrong, or indifferent, he's still raw in his development, and it makes no sense for him to be sitting here as 13 not playing. Right now, it's valuable for him to play meaningful minutes in Grand Rapids rather than sit on nights or odd nights here with us.
Derek, where is he raw right now in this game?
What's that?
Where is he raw?
I just think he continues to need to play. He's barely been in this league. His first year in the National Hockey League was last year. He's still growing. It's more complete game, play away from the puck, and managing his game and puck play, eliminating costly turnovers at the same time, still developing his skill.
It's a little bit of reflection too on how well Christian Fischer seems to have come in and gotten looks and really looks like he can be a good factor in that fourth line.
Yeah. Just maybe a little more identity. Berggren may not be competing for a spot with those type of players, just the type of player he is. So, and again, it's still a work in progress. You guys have been pretty good about it this year, but everyone always makes such a big deal on making the team out of camp. And today's NHL with the salary cap, your team is 15 forwards, 8, 9 D. It's just the reality of those players being in GR instead of being here sitting up in the press box.
When we look at this season opening roster, you see a lot more experienced guys here. I mean, last year you had some younger guys that you had to fill in there, but just what does that experience do? The guys have been in a lot of situations, that's a couple of them won cups, and just having that kind of lineup.
Yeah, I think it's valuable. I think that's by design. Just a little more experience sprinkled throughout the lineup, especially in some of those roles. And it's a positive. I even think I'll go as far as just feels like our hockey sense as a whole, as a group and a team, engagement as a group and a team, it's good. And I think that comes with some of that experience.
What, if anything, does it change for you as a coach when you don't have any first or second year guys that don't allow? Like everyone's kind of been 2 or 3 year better than you.
Yeah, great question. I think it's a positive. I think you could probably even see we feel a little ahead of probably where we were even with last year, just structure, and we're still trying to figure some things out, a little more ready-made guys. So I just think when you're dealing with experience, some of these guys, they've been through a lot. There's not the emotional highs or lows on day-to-day adversities. A little thing of just being posted on the lineup as a fourth line wing. Sometimes a young guy that breaks him for the day, or just going through a game, only getting 6 minutes, and just because of the way the game played out, not letting that bother you. I just think that is valuable, just having some experience.
With the goalies obviously carrying 3 again, ideally, how does that situation work out for you? You want Husso to take the majority of the games. Is there a clear backup, or how do you see that?
No, not yet. I think the first challenge is practice, which I don't think is an issue. We had some experience last year, even our goaltending coach, Alex Westland's had some experience. You see the position before and after ice is so valuable in their development, so I don't think reps and development is going to be an issue for those guys. Billy will be in on Thursday. We still envision Philly as our number one guy, getting the majority of the workload. But we have 3, and I think 3 are all capable. So I think it's going to be a day-by-day, game-by-game type situation with our goalies.
Is it easier to go with 12 forwards to start, just knowing the 11 and 7 possibility?
Yes, absolutely. The luxury of having 7 NHLD, which we haven't had, and not many teams have had that. I know when I was transitioning in Tampa, when we went from good to really good, a similar situation, we had 7D, and it was really tough to manage. We almost got to a rotation no matter what. I don't think we're there yet. Some guys are going to have to sit some games out here, and I may not have an answer for them. I'll try to communicate the best that I can. And if someone needs to be held accountable on it because of play, that would be easy to do. But it's just a reality of where it's at. But this is a good problem to have.
Derek, what'd you tell Danielson? I mean, 18, 19 years old, and for the most part, he didn't seem like he really looked that out of place, really.
No, he did not. And it was good, really good conversation with him yesterday. We had our last few conversations with the guys leaving camp, and those are hard. They're always difficult. With him, I probably think he might have expected it in some ways, but at the same time, I also think that he built some confidence through camp. He's probably looking around being, I can fit in here, and I'm very comfortable with the level of play here. So me, it was just a message, want to get back here as quick as you can, judge yourselves on yourself, get the most you can out of your experience, which should be great. Obviously, you're a junior. I expect him playing a big part of their World Junior team this year, which is always a good experience, but he had a confidence about it. I really liked, he almost asked what he did, what more could he have done. So I love the fact that even as young, see what he came in here with, and I'm going to make the team mentality, which was exciting for me.
What about Evanson? How did that conversation?
Same, similar with Simon. He had a really, really good camp, and that was very obvious. So I think, it was a little different conversation. Just I asked him to be a little more consistent with some of his habits. You saw him last year. He was literally Jekyll and Hyde, best player on the ice one night. Literally could have sat on the other bench with the turnovers and the easy offense he was giving to the other team. And I think he showed that a little bit in GR last year too, but asked him to be more consistent, very similar to what his camp was. And just that, I know this is not what you want to hear, and the fact that you didn't start in Detroit this year, but he built some confidence with our staff, which is important, and I think he'd like to hear that. So it's a similar type of message. Go down there and do it every day. We'd love to have the problem of you showing us you're above that league, which is very hard to do, as you guys know, in the American Hockey League, and go from there.
Is there something to, for both Nate and the WHL and Simon there, is there something to, we often talk about guys need to be up, they need to be up, they need to be up, but is there something to about going out and, for lack of a better word, dominating another league?
I think so. Is it ideal, these high-end first-round picks playing against 16-year-olds in the CHL? I don't know. That's probably a bigger picture. But wherever league you're at, you get the most you can out of it. And we expect him to, of course, there's more offensive touches, there's going to be more offensive confidence with what he does. Of course, I think there's something to that.
What do you see with kind of the role Costin brings to your team as you kind of know him a little bit better and everything?
Yeah, we'd like him to start establishing an identity, being hard to play against. We haven't had that type of physical player of late where he's big, but he's got to play that. Even talking to him today, he had 3 or 4 turnovers the other day. We'd want back, and you can obviously see he was physically frustrated with it, which I understand, but just playing simple, being hard to play against all the time. So yeah, we're hoping to build an identity with him, and he's shown bits of that throughout his career, but I think he's still battling for consistency with that too.
He seems like the type of player who came in obviously was drafted really high for his skill and everything, has kind of had to learn those other parts of his game.
Yeah.
You kind of see that now, kind of all.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, obviously he can shoot it, he can make plays, but still being simple in his game, being predictable, I think is when he's most effective.
You talk about your relationship with Dan Watson throughout camp, and as now kind of both these clubs, AHL and NHL teams, kind of go forward, how valuable is that shared vision in terms of development for some of these younger guys?
Yeah, hugely. We had those last conversations conversations yesterday, and Dan was the first guy I talked to about how those conversations go, and he already had a plan for all of them. So I think that communication is important, being on the same page. It was not far off where I was with Benny last year. But I think structurally things will look similar, verbiage will look similar, so I think there'll be some positive, especially, some of these guys I think are knocking on that door, obviously only carrying 12 forwards. It's just a matter of time before we start seeing guys from Grand Rapids, and we want it to be seamless when they do come up.
Thanks, Coach.